We're not letting them divide us no more. We have given this country everything.
When you have these protesters to go out, they say, hands up, don't shoot, right? When we go out, we're armed. You know what the police say? They look at us and they say, it's not worth it.
Will growing support for gun rights on the political left impact the partisan divide on gun control?
Back when you needed the black vote so you could beat Trump. Show me where that worked for us.
If they're killing people now and we have guns, imagine what would happen if we didn't have them. Our only means is to protect ourselves with firearms to even the playing field. I grew up in the Chicagoland area, and so I've seen a lot of violence, but I also saw people who were law-abiding citizens didn't really have the means to defend themselves because of the laws. We're talking about a Democrat area, a stronghold. They pass gun laws and prevent law-abiding citizens from owning firearms, and I knew that wasn't right.
Yep, just like that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Nick Bezzel served in the military and resettled in Texas. He founded the Elmer Geronimo Pratt Gun Club to help advocate for Black Americans exercising their Second Amendment rights. The gun club is named after a high-ranking member of the Black Panther Party during the 1960s and 70s. Bezzel did not feel comfortable disclosing the group's membership numbers, but confirmed a high volume of new inquiries since 2020.
Yeah, that's looking good today. You ate your Wheaties this morning? Or? Okay.
The Texas state legislature passed over a dozen bills in 2021 that expanded gun rights, including one permitless carry bill that allows most individuals 21 or older to purchase and carry arms without training or a permit.
Hey, how you been?
All right, how you been doing?
I'm good, good.
Good.
So this isn't just like your typical gym workout. This is the real purpose to this.
Yeah, this is the purpose behind it. This is to actually simulate wearing all my gear. So when I actually have to put it on and use it, it's almost like second nature. I want it to be as light as possible so it's not affecting me moving or even noticing that I have this extra weight on.
Yeah. And you have to think about wearing this vest versus wearing some of your tactical gear because you don't want to cause alarm.
I'm 6'3", 235 pounds. I mean, I'm already a big guy to start with. And then when you start having all this gear on, if I'm out here with an open carrying with a rifle, it's going to cause panic. And the only thing people are going to say is, you know what the description is going to be. There's a black guy in the park with a tactical gear on. We don't know what he's doing. There'll be helicopters in the sky. SWAT team will pull up, weapons drawn, not knowing that I'm a law-abiding citizen.
So are you carrying now?
So this area, this is East Austin, a historically black area of Austin. You know, historically embedded into the community, this is where they all grew up at, they all hung out at this park down here. As this area continues to be gentrified, there have been calls for them to close the park down and then reopen the park as a dog park. And so that just further shows how gentrification leads to displacement of the black community from their historic neighborhoods.
According to the local nonprofit Ending Community Homelessness Coalition, African Americans represent 40% of Austin's homeless population.
So we come out here every Sunday and try to give back to the community. So this is a weekly event for us.
Thank y'all, man.
All right. We find it beneficial and rewarding to come out here and try to help people as much as we can, whether it's feeding them, whether it's trying to find them housing. Just because we're a gun club doesn't mean we're all about guns. We also have to give back to our community. As I was pulling up this morning, I heard a lot of commotion. I started seeing a bunch of police cars, about 7 to 8 police cars out here. I went live on Facebook to try to capture the interaction. And I noticed they had an elderly black man up against the vehicle. They had all their weapons drawn, lethal and non-lethal weapons. You could clearly hear a lot of people saying, you were lucky that you didn't get shot. And I just think that's the climate that we're in America, that anytime that you live through a police interaction, that's a good day.
You feel as though being armed at all times offers you a degree of protection, right? Given what we've seen with policing in America, the simple fact that you are armed, right, that raises the temperature significantly. Doesn't that put you at greater risk of clashing with the police, who may ultimately decide you're a threat and we need to take action right now?
Right. Well, first and foremost, everybody's entitled to self-preservation. I don't care who it is. And I don't advocate violence, but I do advocate self-defense. We keep talking about what's the purpose of firearms. It's to even the playing field. When do we close the racial wealth gap so we can even the playing field? They won't allow, this is slow genocide is what we're living through. They gentrify areas, they displace us. We're refugees in our own country, and they refuse to do anything to fix it.
The Elmer Geronimo Pratt Gun Club is involved in political issues beyond the Second Amendment and gun training. The gun club members say they're frustrated because they feel the Biden administration hasn't done enough to move black interests forward.
Back when you needed the black vote to push you over the top so you could beat Trump, show me where that worked for us and tell us what we got for that. All of these agendas are being met. Where is the black agenda? Why is it not being met, and why was it not being met first?
Well, generally, when we talk about those in support of Second Amendment, strong Second Amendment, are Republicans.
Right.
And then everyone else is a Democrat.
Right.
Given your position, I'm curious to know where that strict partisan divide hits you.
Right. I don't care one way or another about a political party. As I've grown and evolved, I've realized that both parties are just a different side to the same coin.
The Black American vote has long been the bedrock of the Democratic Party. And with a growing number of Black Americans picking up arms, many for the very first time, to defend themselves, find that the party that they've been loyal to for so long is pushing for more gun restrictions. Does that endanger the Democratic Party's grip on?
I think it does. I think, again, this last election cycle, I think you found a lot of people who traditionally voted Democrat did the same thing that I did, and they withheld their vote for multiple reasons. As long as we're giving our vote away for free, I don't see them ever correcting course and doing something tangible for us.
You've been taken for granted.
Of course. Everybody's abused us for over 400 years.
While black voters generally view the Democratic Party positively, more than half felt the party has not done enough for the African American community, according to a 2020 survey conducted by BlackPAC, a political action committee.
There has been a long racist history of gun control laws. Now, that's not to tar all gun control laws. Gun laws are part of American law, and American law has been, unfortunately, deeply infected by racism. The Founding Fathers had racially restrictive gun laws, for instance, prohibiting in Virginia African Americans from possessing firearms. After the Civil War, in southern states, one of the ways in which they tried to keep African Americans second-class citizens was by denying them access to guns, along with other constitutional rights. And then in the 1960s, when you had not only the Black Power movement, but also significant racial unrest in major American cities like Detroit, and New Jersey, and Los Angeles, some of that violence in those cities was attributed to the easy access to firearms. And so the 1960s saw just sort of an effort to promote gun control, not in the name of keeping African Americans from possessing firearms, but in practice, that was one of the ways in which these gun control laws worked.
The Mulford Act, a bill prohibiting the public carry of loaded firearms in California, was signed into law by Governor Ronald Reagan in 1967. Legally armed members of the Black Panthers protested an earlier version of the bill at the California Assembly in May of that year, making national news. In contrast to the NRA's opposition to gun control today, the NRA backed gun control laws in the 60s.
You know, you look at Philando Castile, who was a gun owner in Minnesota. He had a gun permit, a valid gun permit. He had a valid firearm in his car. So where was the NRA then? Where was the NRA in the 60s when the Panthers were exercising their right? So again, why do we need black gun organizations? It's because nobody else will help us. Nobody else will stand with us. If they're killing people now and we have guns, imagine what would happen if we didn't have them. Our only means is to protect ourselves with firearms because if we don't, we're already going through a slow genocide. When we talk about reparations, we can't have that conversation without Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we also can't talk about black self-defense without Tulsa, Oklahoma being mentioned.
Bezzel, along with several other groups, organized an open carry march to commemorate the centennial of the Tulsa Massacre.
Geronimo 6 to Geronimo Action.
Some groups that participated in the march have been criticized for extremist views. There are several pro-Second Amendment groups that have gathered here for what will be an armed march through the streets of Tulsa, which is not something you see every day. And they say that being armed is really the only way to prevent something horrific like that from happening again. I guess, why be armed in the first place?
Since George Floyd was murdered, you see protesters go out, but when you have these protesters go out, they say, hands up, don't shoot, right? What you're telling the police is, I'm unarmed, the people around me are unarmed, you can brutalize us, and there's absolutely nothing that we can do to defend ourselves. When we go out, we're armed. Now we've evened the playing field. You know what the police say? They look at us and they say, it's not worth it to engage those guys.
We ain't turning our back on our sisters and brothers no more. We're not letting them divide us no more. We have given this country everything.
We just want to live. We want to live like everybody else. Is it so difficult for people to understand that we don't want to be on camera for 9 or 10 minutes watching our brothers or our sisters, watching their life leave their body? We built this land. Our ancestors built this land. We fought in every war. We've never turned our back on America. America's turned its back on us. And I just think people wanted to defend themselves, or at least make an attempt to defend themselves.